Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ann. I'm the lead animal care specialist of large carnivores here at Brookfield Zoo, and today you're going to meet Samson, one of our Amur leopards. He recently turned 2 years old, and you may have seen his birthday party on our Facebook page. So this is Samson. He's an Amur leopard. They're from the Amur River region in northeastern China and far eastern Russia. Some of our other Amur leopards here at the zoo include his mom, whose name is Lisa, who was born at the St. Louis Zoo. We used to have his dad here named Kasha, who is now at the Santa Barbara Zoo. Samson has a couple of brothers out in the country now that were born here. So his brother Jilin was born at the same time as him, and he's at Niabi Zoo. His older brother Timur is at Central Florida Zoo. And you may have recently seen a Facebook video post where we showed his little brother Sasha, who was born here on March 3rd. He currently weighs a little over 100 pounds. You can see he's got a quite long body and a very long tail. So Amur leopards are around 6 feet long with a 3-foot tail, so their body is the same length as their tail. And if you look at the very end of his tail, he has a little curly on it, and his brother and his dad have that little curly cue as well, so that's a genetic tail curl that they each have. Amur leopards can run quite fast at 37 miles per hour. Our exhibit here has really high rockwork in the back because Amur leopards can actually jump about 10 feet straight up in the air. But they can actually jump horizontally a lot farther, which is about 19 feet. You can see our exhibit here is covered in mesh, and that is the reason for this, as well as at our snow leopard exhibit. Leopards jump so high and they can get footholds on this rockwork that we actually covered in mesh to keep them contained. So you can see right now that Samson is enjoying an ice treat. We put some chunk meat in there and a big bone in there, and then he was eating some nutritionally complete processed meat. In the wild, Amur leopards eat sitka deer, wild boar, badgers, and hares. They are ambush predators, so they can drag their prey up into the tree. You can see he likes bones. That's their favorite part of their diet, are big meaty bones that they get. This is a shaved bone that's frozen in an ice treat, and hopefully he'll keep where you can see him working on that. We actually put some of the treats in ice, especially on a warmer day, so they can cool off, but also so that they work a little harder, like as if they took down a huge prey, they'd have to work to get all the meat off the bones. This is a way for them to use their prey drive and all their features that they use in order to be a predator. Another fun thing about being a predator that Samson likes to do is he actually likes to stalk a lot of people. He likes to do a lot of hiding in the trees and around the corners, and then when he sees coming, he likes to run up and jump and say hi to everyone, which is a really cool, natural, predatory behavior that he has. You can see him in his coat. He actually has a lightly colored fur, and those spots look like spaced out rosettes, and that helps Amur leopards blend into temperate forests that they would have in the wild. They do build a really thick coat in the winter. That way they can keep warm when it's really cold outside. They live in the same regions as Amur tigers, just a little lower in the altitudes because they aren't quite as big, so they can't be in as cold of temperature, but that does mean they share the same prey species. In the wild, their territory can actually be up to 115 square miles, which is pretty big. As I mentioned, we have high rocks in the exhibit. That's generally where you can see Samson during the day. He likes to sit up on the high rocks. He likes to keep vigilant and keep a watch on everything going on in the zoo. You can often see him scanning around, checking for any migratory birds or other wildlife on grounds, as well as just people in general. He's pretty inquisitive and likes to focus on what's going on. It's similar to if you ever see on TV or in the wild, you see a lot of leopards resting up on logs. He does that as well. We have a couple of outcroppings around here that he likes to lounge across like it would be a log or a tree in the wild. If you see to the back to the right of him, we actually have a cave on our exhibit, and the cool feature about this cave is that it's actually heated in the winter, and then we actually have a big fan on top of it for the summer, so we can actually keep it chilled. You must have heard me say cave. You can actually keep it chilled for in the summer if he's going to get hot, and then we actually, that whole base of it below that bedding, we can actually, it's got radiated coil, so we can keep it really warm for him so he doesn't get too cool throughout the winter. Cat species in the world. There's only about 65 animals left in the wild. There's about 250 of them in professionally managed care in zoos throughout the world, and around 75 here in the United States. So as I mentioned, we have Lisa, Samson, and Sasha currently here, and then his brother Kasha, Timur, and Jilan are at other zoos. So we have 6 of the 75 animals in AZA zoos that actually come from this zoo, which is a pretty cool contribution to this endangered species. All right, do you want to do any questions?
Yeah. What good are their tails for? Well, what good are they? You know what I mean. What do they use their tails
for? They
for?
have those big long tails for a couple of reasons. Part of it helps them with moving with direction when they're running, so they can help use them to pivot just a little bit. But the main reason is that actually in the winters when it's really cold out, they wrap it around their face so their face doesn't get frostbite, especially that nose, which is really sensitive. So they use it as a scarf. It's not quite as fluffy as a snow leopard's, which is how they use it, like a scarf, but they do use that to keep their face warm when it's cold out.
How good is their sense of smell and their eyesight?
So their eyesight is very, very good. They do have a good sense of smell as well, but they do have special eyes that are designed to help them see well at night. He smells pretty well. You can actually see him smelling right now, trying to find all that extra little meat crumbs that got left behind. So you can see he's actually using his sense of smell right now. But like I mentioned, he likes to be vigilant, so they can see quite far distances during the day and well at night.
Can you explain a little bit how the species survival program works?
Okay, so the species survival programs, I'm actually an SSP coordinator for Venturong, so I can explain this quite easily. So we track all the genetics of all the animals in the country, and we use a program to move animals around for collaborative breeding to make sure that we have the least amount of inbreeding and the most robust, strong genetics throughout the country. Amur leopards are really special in that because they are a predator, and they have a high, they're a pretty active and strong, powerful animal. We have to be real careful when we introduce Amur leopards together. And so actually a lot of what we do in Amur leopard pairing is we make sure they actually have a good personality profile between the two animals. We also know that it's very hard to introduce them successfully, so we make sure we have the best way possible, and then you need to be able to place their offspring. So what happens is, like, when we have offspring now, like we have Sasha, when he gets old enough to be able to go to another zoo because he's mature enough where he wouldn't live with his mom anymore, we would contact the SSP coordinator and ask if anyone, if we could place him somewhere, and they would find an animal that would breed well with him, and they would go to another zoo. So he might go to a zoo that has another female his same age that he's not related to. And so we move them around between AZA zoos based on genetics as well as personality profiles, and that the zoo is trained and has great staff that knows how to do a safe introduction with this species.
Why are they so endangered?
They are endangered because they're losing a lot of their habitat from deforestation and wildfires. There's a lot of poaching. Their pelt is considered very valuable, and so they're having a hard time, also because they're in the same area as Amur tigers, and they're actually competing for the same prey species, as well as there's a little bit of human predator conflict as well. And so if they go into populated areas, they are killed that way so that they're not taking over farm animals, or there's no injuries to humans. But most of it is deforestation, wildfires, and they're losing their habitat. So if you could do things like use Forest Steward Council approved paper products and help protect land that they're on. There's actually a release program happening right now in Asia that they're trying to get off the ground, that some animals born in Asian zoos could be released back into the wild, into protected land, similar to wolf programs we do here in the United States.
Here at Brookfield Zoo, we have the Amur leopard, but we also have an Amur tiger. So can you remind us again where the Amur part comes from?
It is from the Amur River Basin region that runs through the northeastern Russia. And there's another river in northeastern China that they have habitat around, but it's from the Amur River. I know a lot of people used to call them Siberian tigers because they had a lot of habitat in Siberia, but it's that river. They need to get near the river for sources of water, and that's where prey go as well.
How do you train a leopard?
So we can train our leopards here every single day, just like you train your dog at home. We use positive reinforcement in operant conditioning. So if you ask your dog to sit and you use a clicker, or you blow a whistle, or you say good job, and then you give them a treat, you're reinforcing in a positive way that they're doing what you've asked them for. And so Samson gets trained every day here at the zoo, and he's actually trained to do a lot of things, one of which is actually to go on a shoot to get injections for vaccines, just like you take your animal to the veterinarian each year. Samson needs to get his vaccines as well, and he's looking at the shift door. I think he wants to go inside for some more snacks. And so we train him just like I mentioned, like you would your dog, and we use a whistle here as our bridge. And so everything he does positive that we ask him for, we give that bridge, and then we give him a treat, and he likes meat products for his treats.
How high can they climb?
They can climb pretty high. I'm actually hoping he goes up on that high rockwork, and you can see him jump pretty well. So he likes to get all the way up top. You can see he's staring at his shift door. This late in the day, he likes to go inside and see what all his keepers are doing. But they can go about 10 feet straight up in the air. They're very light on their feet, so they jump a lot, but they have got really great wide paws for really good footing in mountainous climates and rocky areas.
Can you remind us how many are left in the wild?
There's about 65 left in the wild. In the 90s, it got down to 65 left right now.
So how many total is that?
65 in the wild. Right now, there's 75 in the AZA zoos, and there's 250 in all the zoos in the world.
Wow. So they're extremely endangered.
Extremely endangered.
All right.
There's about 10% of the number of tigers is what's left in Amur leopards.
So what other leopards are they around as far as habitat?
So they have a temperate forest, so that it is a snowy climate in the winter, and it's warmer in the summer. There's a lot of spaced out trees. They're not super leafy, and it's not a very dense forest. That's why they have a lighter coloration, so they're not super dark orange like you would see of like an African leopard, or even like a Malayan or a Sumatran tiger have very, very dark orange fur, and that's when you blend into like a tropical forest jungle area. But these are temperate forests, so there is some open areas and some trees and bushes in between that they're trying to camouflage themselves in. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoy meeting Samson. He's clearly ready to go inside for the day, but he's an awfully handsome boy. And so I hope when we open up that we'll be able to see you all here back at Brookfield Zoo. We appreciate the support while we're closed right now. When you actually are able to come back, it'll be great that you can actually meet Lisa and Sasha, who will be out on exhibit during the morning, and then you'll be able to see Samson here in the evenings and the afternoons. So we hope that you have a great day.